Japan's economy is heading into a crisis. Can you believe that rice in Japan has gotten so expensive now that some people just can't afford to buy it anymore? And the current financial situation is so bad that even the Japanese government itself doesn't know how to handle it. This is a country with the fourth largest economy in the world, and it's not like the economy just started getting bad. It's actually been struggling for a while now. Right now, Japan's debt situation is even worse than Greece's during their debt crisis. This is what the Prime Minister of Japan said. Because right now, even the Japanese government can't manage the country's economic and financial problems. They can't move forward, but they can't go back either, because even a single misstep at this point could make Japan the trigger for a brand new global financial crisis. If you want to support information about Japan's financial crisis, which could potentially spread worldwide, you can do so at this QR code. Or if you'd like to support the SciMoney Monster channel, it's easy. Just subscribe to the channel. Just hit the button once. No need to press it again. Thank you. Shinzo Abe, the Prime Minister of Japan, actually said it himself. The current fiscal situation and debt in Japan are really bad, even worse than when Greece went through its debt crisis. How could it not be worse? If you look at the debt ratio, Japan's debt to GDP today is at 236.7%. Meanwhile, Greece, at the peak of its debt crisis, only reached 209.4% of GDP. So the question is, what about Japan's economy today? Is it already in a recession? Yes, it is, in both technical terms and in terms of people's everyday lives. Japan's GDP growth has declined for 2 consecutive quarters, and most recently it dropped to negative 0.7%. The reason why the cost of living in Japan is so high right now, for example, rice prices have doubled, making it unaffordable for some people to buy rice, is because of inflation. Japan's core inflation rate right now, it's the highest it's been in the past 40 years. What makes the situation even worse, compounding the effects of inflation and the soaring prices of goods, is that while things are getting more expensive, wages aren't going up. Let's take a look at wages in Japan. The average wage for Japanese people, even including bonuses, is very low. It's been flat for a long time. Wages just can't keep up with inflation and the rising cost of goods. This means that Japanese people's purchasing power, their ability to buy things, has decreased. This means that even if people have the same amount of money as before, their ability to buy things with that same amount has gone down. That also means a lower quality of life. The unemployment rate in Japan has increased, but what's even more concerning is the unemployment rate among young people. The youth unemployment rate is now at 4.6%. You can see that the youth unemployment rate has surged sharply since 2024. This number reflects that a college degree all the years Japanese kids spend studying hard end up being meaningless. They can't improve their quality of life in Japan today. But believe it or not, all these economic problems and statistics I've mentioned are actually minor compared to Japan's much bigger fundamental economic issue. The real problem is the country's population structure. Japan's population has now officially entered an aging society, and this is a serious and heavy issue. It's a huge issue. Let's look at this chart. The blue section represents the population aged 15 to 64, which has dropped from 70% of the country to just 50%. That means only half the country is in this age group now. The orange section shows those aged 65 and over, or the elderly population. It used to be 15% of the country, but now it's up to 40%. Before long, the orange and blue lines will cross, meaning that soon the elderly population will outnumber the working age population. The working age population, while the green line at the very bottom represents children from newborns up to 14 years old, is almost completely flat. It barely rises at all. And within the next 100 years, in just 1 century, Japan's population will shrink by half. That means half the people will be gone, which also means half the workforce, half the income, and half the domestic consumers will disappear. The effects of this don't require us to wait 100 years. We're already seeing them today. The decrease in consumers is already showing up in the numbers. If you look at this section, you'll see that private consumption in Japan hasn't grown. In the most recent year, it was 0%. And as the number of elderly people keeps rising, while the working age and child populations don't increase, the question is Japan ready for such an aging society? Does Japan have welfare? Does it have a good enough welfare system to take care of all these elderly people? In reality, Japan does have a welfare state, but the question is whether is it enough? The real question is, how can it be when the elderly population is growing while the workforce shrinks? Japan's aging society means the welfare system, obviously, is simply not enough. That's why seniors rely more on their families. But with a struggling economy, the youth are struggling too. This is causing the support system for the elderly from their children and grandchildren is on the verge of collapsing. Right now, you could say this is the most severe economic crisis Japan has faced since World War II. With the economy in such dire straits, Japanese people are even buying rice by the kilogram because the price of rice has doubled. And that's just rice. Prices for other foods have gone up too, as well as other consumer goods. It's pushing Japanese people to their limits, and it's causing something that has never happened before in modern Japanese history is the emergence of protest groups. It's not that protests have never occurred, that protests specifically against the government's economic policies only just happened last month. Japanese citizens gathered in anger in front of the Ministry of Finance last month, shouting for the ministry to be dismantled. There were also signs saying, "We are not your ATM." As for Japan's current situation, the state of public finances, monetary policy, and debt, Prime Minister Kishida himself has said that the country's fiscal situation is without a doubt extremely dire. He said it's even worse than when Greece went through its debt crisis. If I were to translate this statement, it's not a political gesture. It's a cry for help from the Japanese Prime Minister. And some people might think that Japan having such a high debt to GDP ratio, 236% of GDP, might not be a big deal. But today, it actually is a problem. Some people, as I've mentioned, believe that most of Japan's debt is borrowed domestically, so it should be more stable than debt borrowed from abroad. So the next question is, who is Japan's biggest creditor? Japan's biggest creditor is the BOJ, the Bank of Japan itself. The BOJ is the largest holder of Japanese government bonds. The next question is, where does the BOJ get the money to buy them? The answer is, the BOJ has to print money to make those purchases. Printing massive amounts of money has never been good for any country or any currency in the history of this planet, because it leads to inflation and ultimately it destroys that currency just disappears. But wait, Japan has printed massive amounts of money for a long time, yet they've had deflation, not inflation. That contradicts my point. Yes, Japan printed a huge amount, and the central bank uses it to buy government debt. But why hasn't Japan seen inflation despite printing so much? Is Japan an exception? Let's take a look. Let's look at the inflation rate in Japan. This is clear evidence that for decades, Japan hasn't had inflation. In fact, it's been deflationary. The rate has been at zero or even negative. But Japanese inflation only started to spike around 2022, and now it's at about 3.6%. So here's the answer to why Japan could print so much money without causing inflation. The answer is right here. The system is called the yen carry trade. The yen carry trade is when Japan keeps domestic interest rates as low as possible so people can borrow yen and use it to buy assets in other countries where interest rates are higher. The difference in interest rates is where investors make their profit. And in the past, this seemed like a profit with almost no risk at all. That's why so many people have done this, an enormous number, in fact. So when Japan prints more money, it can lend it out to the world. The yen carry trade creates a huge demand for yen. No matter how much they print, there are always people who want it, always people who want to borrow it, because they want to use it to make a profit from assets in other countries. So when they print more money, it gets sold. There's demand for yen, so it doesn't cause inflation. Do you get it now? Can you see Japan's situation? For decades, Japan's economy has been described. How did they survive after supposedly being lost? They survived by keeping interest rates really low, and also because the yen became very weak. So if Japan's interest rate were to rise to 3.6%, that would be a huge deal for the world. Remember back in August last year, 2024, when the BOJ, the Bank of Japan, announced even a slight increase in their policy interest rate? The whole world was shocked by that. That was when the so-called yen carry trade event happened. Basically, the interest rate gap between Japan and the countries where people were making profits narrowed, so people started dumping assets. At that time, they even dumped US stocks. You could see that in just a short time, the US stock market lost $6.4 trillion, an enormous amount. That was a real shock for investors. UBS even came out and said that on that day last year, they pointed out that Japanese assets were dropping in price, and anyone who tried to catch them was basically catching a falling knife, meaning they got hurt. From that day until now, which is almost a year, UBS's words have proven true. Anyone who tried to hold on to Japanese assets back then has really gotten burned, because as of today, the Japanese yen has strengthened a lot compared to the US dollar. And people have been dumping Japanese government bonds in massive, unprecedented quantities. How exactly do we know it's that much? You can see it clearly from the yields. The yield on the 40-year Japanese government bond, which has been remarkably low for a long time because it's considered a safe asset, suddenly and dramatically spiked by 11 basis points in a single day. But if we look back at the data starting from this past April, the yield on the 40-year Japanese government bond has increased by 100 basis points, which is a full 1%. It's now up to 3.56%. This is highly unusual and far from normal for Japanese government bonds. When the yield on these government bonds jumps this sharply, it means the price of the bonds is collapsing, and not just a little, but plummeting at an incredibly rapid pace. The signal of Japanese government bonds crashing is an exceptionally dangerous development for the entire world. I mentioned this at the very beginning of the clip, right? Everyone knows that Japan is currently the world's fourth largest economy. And the yen also has the image of being one of the world's reserve currencies. That's why Japanese government bonds have been seen as safe assets for decades. So where are Japanese government bonds held? They're in central banks all over the world, in major financial institutions, and in large banks. So there's a very real possibility that if Japanese government bonds collapse, it would cause losses amounting to who knows how many trillions of dollars on the balance sheets of financial institutions around the world. If this really happened, it wouldn't just be an accounting loss or a theoretical loss. It would be a real, tangible financial loss. So the question is, how did Japan's economy end up in such bad shape today? Was it because of Trump's trade tariffs? Honestly, not exactly. Trump's trade tariffs aren't the root cause of the damage to Japan's economy that we see today. They were just an extra push, a trigger that made things a bit worse. Let's look at the GDP growth. Looking at Japan's GDP growth, you can see that it's been fluctuating up and down since 2023. Then in 2024, GDP growth bounced back because the yen weakened significantly. But in 2024, Japan's PMI, or Purchasing Managers Index, dropped for 16 consecutive months. At first glance, that might sound like a good thing. But when the PMI, or Japan's production costs, go down like this, economists have a term for it. It's called the deflationary poison, because when production costs go down, right, product prices also drop. This leads to a toxic deflation situation. When consumers see prices falling, like say if car prices drop, they hold off on buying. That causes Japan's economy to stall even more because consumers stop spending, money tightens up, and Japan's economy gets worse. So Japan's GDP growth, the country's income growth, when it gets to 2025, so it dropped again. And this time it went negative, down to minus 0.7%. As for the trade war that Donald Trump declared on the whole world, the point that really hit Japan hard was when Donald Trump announced a 25% tariff on Japanese car imports. For Japan, being hit in the auto industry is basically like being attacked at the core. Japan's very stability and way of life were at stake because Japan managed to pull itself out of a bad economic situation before the war and rise to become one of the world's major powers thanks to the auto industry. And the auto industry, Japan spent decades building up its supply chain and manufacturing processes. It's not just about making cars. There are also people making tires, seats, and so on. There are people making engines, people making steel. There are so many others involved in the supply chain just to produce a single car, which then gets exported all over the world. And this supply chain isn't just in Japan, it's global. In Thailand, for example, we have factories making parts and components to be shipped to Japan for car assembly as well, right? So when Japan's economy is already struggling and then its core industry, the heart of the country, gets hit even harder, it's really tough. That means attacking every single part of Japan's economic supply chain. So what Japan can do right now is just stand its ground. Japan is really standing firm, refusing to back down or give in during negotiations with Trump in order to avoid the 25% trade tariff on its auto industry. So this has caused the economic problems Japan is facing right now to reach a dead end. They've tried everything, and there are hardly any tools left to fix the economy. If you ask, Japan's economy isn't doing well, so can they lower interest rates? They can't. Japan's interest rates are already at zero. There's nothing left to cut. So, can they use the old trick of printing more yen to solve the financial problems? The answer is no, especially right now. They absolutely can't print more money because people are already dumping Japanese government bonds, right? And the yen carry trade is shrinking. So the old move of printing money and expecting people to borrow yen to buy assets in other countries isn't working anymore. So if Japan tries to print more money now, it would actually end up attacking its own currency. It would just destroy the value of the yen. People used to say that printing money wouldn't cause inflation, but if they print money now, it definitely could. So then, what if the Japanese government thinks, well, maybe we should cut government spending? The answer is that's probably not a good idea either, because Japan's GDP growth rate is already at negative 0.7%. If the government cuts spending even more, GDP will drop even further into the negative. So the next question is, so then, can the government raise more revenue by increasing taxes? The answer is very clear. No, they can't. People are already struggling just to afford food. If the government raises taxes to try to generate more revenue, the people probably won't survive. What's happening in Japan right now is that every option is a bad one. There's actually a name for this situation. It's called a policy trilemma. No matter which path you choose, it's a disaster. Even if you do nothing at all, it's still a disaster. What's happening in Japan right now, if you ask me, as someone who's worked a lot in economics, it reminds me of the 2008 hamburger crisis in the United States. Back then, it was all about MBS, mortgage-backed securities, and that debt spread all over the world, right? Now it's Japan's assets, especially Japanese government bonds, which are also spread all over the world. But if you ask whether today is different from 2008, it is. Let's say it's leveled up. Because what's happening now is that the global economy, the public debt in every country, is much higher than it was back then. And in every country, previously interest rates and monetary policies were so low that the cost of financing, the cost of debt, was extremely cheap, right? That's why. There was a massive injection of money through quantitative easing. Governments printed a huge amount of money. Governments around the world have never printed this much money before. In the history we're living through right now, this is the most money ever printed globally. And government debt, or even household and personal debt, has never been this high in history. So if you ask how today is different from 2008, it's that the global economy is much more fragile now. So the question we need to ask after hearing this news and understanding this information isn't whether Japan's economy will go into crisis. There's no need to ask that anymore because it's already clear. If you look at the numbers and everything, Japan is already in a recession. It's already in crisis. The real question we need to ask now is, will the crisis happening in Japan spread to the rest of the world? If it does spread, how will it spread? And if it does spread, how severe will that spread be? And another question that everyone in Thailand, as well as people in other countries around the world, needs to ask themselves is, if this happens, are we ready to handle an economic crisis that could result from the collapse of the world's fourth largest economy? The